Hey, didn't notice you there, with your head still attached to your neck and stuff. Much like you didn't notice me back in 8th grade when I invited you to the dance. But that's alright, because we're back to playing Sweet Transit now. Boy, did I miss this game, much like you missed out at the 8th grade dance. Funny how life works out that way. Me, rich with $250,000. You, on your way to be decapitated by a train, so we can continue the plot from the last episode. If only you had just given me the time of day instead of saying nothing from the opposite side of the state because we didn't go to the same middle school. But back to more important things. As you may remember, the next item on our docket of things to obtain for a maiden was clothes. This way we can stop being naked and dying from minor wind chill, because oh man does minor wind chill cause minor permanent death kills. Unfortunately, we currently have a roadblock in front of us, being that our people are currently drug addicts to such a degree that when asked to work in the cotton fields, they instead start dealing Oxycontin. Fortunately, after doing some research into drugs, I have learned about this thing called gateway drugs, especially this one called marijuana, which can get you stoned. So ergo, if we get the stones, they will be so marijuana that they'll stop doing hardcore drugs and start picking cotton. Now that we have the stone, we apparently need to start cutting the stone in order to unlock the cotton. This is where a more knowledgeable viewer may know the term cutting coke, which, according to Urban Dictionary, means to cut a drug, especially cocaine, means to dilute the drug in order to increase its weight and make it more profitable. Therefore, this astute viewer would then realize that cutting stone would therefore mean that I am making the stone less pure in order to get a higher profit. To which I'd like to formally thank you for informing me of this, because I'm neither knowledgeable nor viewer, so I didn't really have any way of even beginning to figure this out. All I really knew was that profits meant money, money means my wheels on the train go round, and that sounds good to me, so knowing this, really helpful. So I'm just going to put down the stone cuttery, and then later build a train to deliver the stone to the warehouses for Mr. Walter White, so he can become a Breaking Bad dad. Continuing on the urban planning channel, we'll find out that apparently fish production is directly tied to how much money you can hold. Don't ask me why it is that way, I just want to make sure that I have a bigger safety net in case I start to go belly up. But first, I need to make a bridge which, according to the ancient Mayans myself, is the staircase to the soul. The staircase is the staircase to the staircase, and the Seoul is the capital of a country in Korea. Yeah, that one. However, we now have a problem. Because we have put so many fish plants down, our attractiveness has gone down to a negative 0.5 Michelin stars because of how smelly the fish are. Unlike the maidens we're trying to get to move here, because they smell nice. Or at least that's what I've heard. I wouldn't know. Now, while we may not be able to get any of those, the game says that parks and trees will be able to fix this problem. So, I'm going to have to go and get those. However, I'm going to have to disagree with the game here, because, I've seen one or two curvy trees in my time, and may I just say, those are not nearly as attractive. Fortunately for our gameplay, my opinion does not matter, because look at us now. We're at 1.2 stars. Our people are loving it. You might as well say that this town has become McDonald's, because ba-da-ba-ba-ba, they're clowns. Ooh, how can I forget that with cut drugs comes the invention of religion, a tale as old as time. However, instead of this stupid hippie religions about loving the earth or the latest religious trend of becoming a communist, this was about praising our train overlords, being that, and I quote, it provides inhabitants with a place to worship the great train, because it will then let them become femboys. Now that we have ended the war on drugs and begun the normal worship of trains, we can begin the war on nudity and minor wind chill. Or, at least that's what I would say, if I just had the population. I would just add more houses so people can move in, but you see, if the houses are too far from the station, it won't even matter, because then I'll be stuck with this complaining emote about how they can't reach it. This is all even though my dad had to walk twice that distance, both ways, uphill, just to get to school. These people are pathetic. I even gave up after doing this for a while, so I guess that's just a thing, and I guess the only real option to make sure that I get rid of nudity and make sure that going nude doesn't go unpunished is to make a second town. Now, where to build it? Well, I know the top of that corner might be real tempting. I really know that the best location for this is probably doo-doo-doo-doo. This just in, there appears to be problems with food production in our cities. We now cut to the scene with our on-the-ground reporter, Jeb. Why, thank you, Hilbert. As you can see, Soul Bones is potentially on the horizon, with food production appearing to be too low, despite the fact that nothing has really gone awry. You know, we still have extra wood on our cargo cars. To fix this, Conductor Charybdis has built a lumber mill, and despite this changing nothing about the amount of wood being delivered or consumed, it somehow fixed the problem. Back to you with the season, Hill. Thank you for the update, Jeb. In later news, we now have the ability to upgrade trains, as you'll be able to see on your screen right now. This will allow for faster trains, for more efficient rail lines, and I don't know about you, Dimitri, but I'm excited about this. I can't wait to see the prospects this has in fixing our underage roasting problem. What do you think about this?
Well, to understand how this will affect the underage roasting problem, we'll first need to understand that Charybdis is in fact a liar and a hack who has made nothing but false promises and is in fact too scared to actually decapitate anyone. And he has done nothing but lead us on a wild goose chase that will probably end in a corny joke. I mean, are we even sure that these mated things even exist? I've never seen one, neither have you. Apparently these women things give birth to children, but if that's true, then why are all the people we know birthed through osmosis and off each other? I mean, look at the graphs, look at the statistics. I brought it up for you yesterday. How can they explain that?
Interesting hypothesis, Dimitri. Especially with decapitations being at all-time low after the last time there wasn't any decapitation. However, unfortunately, it looks like all the time we have for today. This has been STN, and we wish you all a good night. Right here. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I was not expecting Bad Dad to be a part of the new world. So in order to avoid this awkwardness, I'm going to immediately change its name to Bad Dad, because that is some funny wordplay right there. Now, we have two goals. On top of the earlier goal of drinking blood or something or other, which was the thing I said before, now we're going to turn these bad dads into best dads. Or at the very least, we're going to turn them into okay dads. But that is a long road ahead of us, and I believe that they can follow through on this if they truly believe in themselves. Now to start this process, we need to give these single dads jobs so their identical clone sons can get a good education so they too can work hard at the cotton fields just like their fathers, or maybe even, if they have a future, the wheat farms. A new enemy approaches, and it is the crippling debt on the horizon. Before now, the only way I was keeping up with money was apparently by taxing my people, an act that is one of the greatest evils. However, the only way for me to get out of this situation is to get more people and tax them large sums of cash so my trains don't kill themselves or something. Fortunately for me, in this moral conundrum, not having a train is an even greater evil than that, and an even greater evil than that evil is me not being able to do what I want, the greatest evil of all. You know, JFK once said that the greater evil of my evil is morally good and unquestionable, which makes taxes no longer the equivalent of being French. Upon hearing this, the people began to revolt and became extremely unhappy, for they were too stupid to see the bigger picture. Silly me. Turns out the reason they're upset is not because they're libertarian extremists, but rather because I have two towns now, I need to provide transportation between the two. And, you know, it's definitely not because they're being taxation did without representation did. And, you know, if you think about this, it all makes sense, as it is a well-known literary fact that this is what happens when single deadbeat dads can't see their potential femboy counterparts. This conundrum is in fact so famous that Aristotle has written about it on multiple occasions, most prominently in his book Aristotle and the Aristocracy, in which he and Julius Caesar get into poetry slam, with JC saying, "Them femboys be super fly, it them deadbeat dad padres who keep the femmies boys down." But Aristotle won't take this line down, you know. He instead does a kickflip, followed by a roundhouse kick to a dog, which definitely proves his point about how both sides are at fault, and how they could never meet each other because the trains didn't exist back then. And so if the trains were there, they could have worked it all out. So now, we need to build this itty-bitty little train here to bring the deadbeat dads with the femboys and bring them together, because they have so many things in common with it being a small train. Yet you see, the small train is actually an innuendo, because I'm saying one thing to the audience, and the audience knows that there's something else going on. And by explaining this joke, it becomes even funnier, because now they know that something innuendous is going on, hence the name, and I named the train Innuendo. Coal problems appear to have begun again, and we can't have this, because remember when I made a callback to the last episode? Well, I'm doing that again, because in the last episode I made an analogy with Nebuchadnezzar, so go ahead and throw a picture of Nebuchadnezzar up for reference. Wrong one. That's the one. Well, for our final product, we can't risk having the wrong Nebuchadnezzar, get a picture thrown me off. We can't risk having a slow decapitation. Though I suppose if we decapitate the wrong Nebuchadnezzar, that could go bad as well, and could be quite disastrous. Now to send out our Cartalishous train with a song dedicated to it. Listen up, y'all, cause this is it. The blood we'll be drinking is delicious. Cartalishous definition of train is locomotive. They wanna be femboy, so killing Floyd has a motive. You can see trains, you can't be trains. I'm not saying, I'm not playing. I got cotton, it ain't rotten. Where for blood have you forgotten? Cartalishous. Femboyhood ain't promiscuous, and if that sounds suspicious, you wrong. This ain't among the Cygrant wishes. Ta-da! And did drugs with rock. The trains be lining down the block just to drop cargo off, so Cartalishous. Go chug a chug, so Cartalishous. Put end to drugs with rock, so Cartalishous. They wanna taste what maidens got, trains Cartalishous. Chew. And with that, we now have clothes. All thanks to forgiveness and Gar I Am. They single-handedly ended nudity and minor wind chills. Now that bad dads are starting to get jobs, I think we can now rename the town to Mildly Okay Dads. See, they're starting to improve, and our Aristotle reference is luckily still intact, because he believed relationships between Mildly Okay Dads and femboys was near identical to that of bad dads and femboys. Solve our stone shortage, because we can't afford to have people not be marijuana'd. To kill a mockingbird, more like to make a wheat farm. Now we just need bread, and cake is just bread with extra steps, so let them eat cake. Marie Antoinette was actually the one who said that, and it's actually quite fitting, because she was a maiden at one point who was decapitated, aka the thing all Frenchies should do, so therefore, if we get this bread, we may be able to get her, which will lead to future maidens, effectively letting us kill 2 mockingbirds with 1 stone. You think no stone and no money will stop me? Well, guess what? You may take my money, you may take my stone, you may laugh and mock me, but you will never take my Spirit Airlines membership. Fortunately, I also have an extra train from before the economy crash, so just change its route, give the jobless dads that are still deadbeats because I've got to put down too many houses, jobs, and I forgot to finish the track, meaning that I need the money to finish it so this train can complete its route for money. After selling some things, I now have the finances to finish it, so I could get wheat to turn into bread to get more people to pay off my debt through taxes. And we're back in the green, baby! Now for some reason, it's saying that despite me getting more people who are mildly okay dad, they are just not going to work, and at the same time saying that there is no work. I don't know, I guess I gotta change your meaning back to bad dad. And like, look at this. It says that we have no jobs, and it's persisting, but like destroying new houses and all of that to try, I don't know, maybe resetting just makes it so that people aren't coming into work, and it's just causing even more problems. Like, do I need to destroy the town and rebuild it? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what to do. It's so complicated. But you want to know what isn't complicated? Hitting that like and subscribe button and commenting down below. I mean, it's not that hard, and it helps me out. So do it. Please, I'm begging you. Please.